Today we are actually going to repair, renovate, and condition a Castnet. So I have a Castnet that has quite a few holes, some of them about as that big. I've got a braille line that's torn off and a few other things that we're going to do to fix it. So stay tuned. We're going to show you how to do that. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Going forward, I'm going to be showing all my locations with GPS coordinates on all my fishing videos. So if you like offshore fishing out of Naples, Fort Myers, Marco Island, or Goodland, feel free to follow this channel because we are going to be sharing locations and the fish that we catch there. You're going to want to find a well-lit room and put a black sheet or something like that down that you can put the Castnet on to work on. It's going to make things a lot easier for you. You're going to be able to see what you're working with and all the different lines that you have and tying them and cutting them. But we've got a lot of use out of this Castnet. It's been about, I don't know, a couple years worth of use. It's an 8-footer. So what we're going to do is get rid of these loose ends just so they're not in the way, and we obviously don't need them. So let's just go through and cut these real quick. I'm actually just going to cut this right off so it's a little more even for now. And all we're going to do is just basically connect these just like that. Now it's a smaller hole, so it's not going to be too big of a deal. It's not going to pull on the net too much, which will create the different waves that you probably don't want in the net when you're throwing it. So you want it to be pretty evenly spaced out with the holes, and that way it doesn't get caught on anything. So instead of just using your line that you're going to want to use, today I've got some 15-pound. That should be just fine for what we're trying to do. Instead of trying to run through the line on its own against the other line, it's just going to blend in too much. You want to get a paper clip like I did here. This one's colored. You don't need a color one, but it'll help. And just tie it off here right at the end. Try and make this as smooth as possible so it's not going to catch as you're running it through your Castnet. You're not going to need too much line, so I just used about 2 or 3 feet, just cut off the end. First thing you want to do, start at one end and just find a hole and go through one end and find another hole on the opposite side, run it through all the way to the point where you get down to the last little bit of line. Here's my end, and I like to just do a simple overhand, but what I'm going to do is do it a few times and then tighten it down. Then I'm going to do one last one just because it's on the end line. Tighten that down. Next, get your tag line, cut that off, and now we're ready to start. Find the next hole over and go straight across, run that through, and what you're going to want to do is run this down. Then once you run that through, what you're going to want to do is do that same thing again. So run it through, so you're going to do a few times around, pull it, hold the line a little bit, or hold the net, take your fingers, push it down right on top of it. Do that all the way up until you've reached the end. Run that through there, find the opposite side that you want to go through. Look at the way the lines are, so you want that one that's already tied on this side, you're going to run that around a few times, pull it, Take your finger, push it down, help it out so you're not pulling on the net too much. And we are closing it up. All right, so I've gotten to the end, and just for safe measure, we're gonna do that a couple more times, or at least one more time down here through the same area. Cut up the tag end. All right, so there you go. This is closed up. Is it perfect? No, it's not perfect, but it definitely closed up that gap, and we're not gonna lose bait in that spot anymore. Another helpful thing that you can do is get some black shorts on, and that way you can get comfortable and not be leaning over the net here. So now we've successfully closed up all of our holes in the net. What we're going to want to do next is fix our braille lines. Braille lines are these ones that come down through the center of the Castnet. They run on the inside of the net here, and they connect right down here on the lines. Now what you want to do is count in between each of these how many weights are in between. On this one it's 5 in between each braille line. The braille line is connected to the horn. What you want to do is hook it up to something like this so it's hanging. That way we can figure out which of these lines is the one that got cut, because sometimes this line will break up in the middle here and we won't know just by looking at the bottom to see if that's the one that has to be replaced. So what you want to do is find the line, pull on it. If you pull on it and it's tight, that means it's connected all the way up there still. That one's tight. Here we go. Look at that. Found it right there. So what we're going to want to do is remove this from this part of the line, and we already know how many spaces in between from each line is, so we can just cut that off, not worry about it. And we're going to want to get the same length as we have on all the other lines. So the way it's hanging, you see how it's sticking up a little bit right here. You want it to be that same length on that spot over there. So when I tie this off from up there to all the way down here, I want this to be looped up just a little bit, and we'll just double check to make sure that that's the way the other ones are. That one is as well. That one is as well. We're going to tie this on to the horn line here, or basically above the horn. We found the bad spot here. We're just going to cut that off as close as possible. That's removed. We're not going to reuse this. We're just going to put some new line on there. I've got some 40-pound Seagar. This is good fluorocarbon that I use for fishing. It's really strong. I think it'll work perfect for this. It's expensive stuff, but I'm not going to use too much. Pull this out. You probably could measure approximately how long they are and just do like an extra foot or so, but I think for this sake we're just going to cut it and get it tied on. So there's a number of ways you could do this, but first you're going to want to definitely tie around the metal clip right here first. You can see how these are on here, and then there's a big cinch thing here that's wrapped around it. We might have to just use some duct tape after we get ours on here so it sticks close to that spot and looks about the same. Just tie a normal fishing line knot on here to start with. Get it wet. That's not going nowhere. Get our scissors. Cut the extra off. Now we'll spin that knot in. And what we're going to do is wrap it right around this. And then get our duct tape on here. Alright, we've completed the braille line here. And as you can see, these are all about the same. This is the line that I did. We're going to put a little super glue on that, but you can see it's about the same levels as these other ones here. Now this I noticed, I was looking at them like, well, this line is holding it there, but why is this up here? That's probably because of a repair we did, which is right there. So it doesn't make your net perfect, however, it's going to keep it from getting thrown in the trash. So there you go. Alright, so we've got our net finished here. Everything's repaired. Braille line's done. It's hanging up right now. So what I'm going to do next is going to be me conditioning this. So these things get dried out over time. You'll notice a lot of times the way you can fix that is just by dipping in water before you throw it for the first time. But what we're going to do is actually soak this in fabric softener. 3/4 of a cap going in. Okay, we've got it down in our water. What I'm going to do is just kind of wrap this up a little bit so it's compact. And grab the rope, put that on the bottom. What you could do is use the weights to your advantage. Flip it upside down so it holds it down into the water. That works perfect. Now we're going to let that sit for a couple hours. And when we come back, stretch it out on the grass, let it dry. Alright, it's been a couple hours here. We are going to, well, that water's still warm actually. That's kind of crazy. We're going to see how this thing turned out. Let's get it pulled out. Look at that. I mean, I know it's wet, but I can already tell that it's in better shape than it was. Next step, we're going to spread it out onto the grass so it spreads out and that holds that shape. Alright, got that ready to dry. Pretty soon I'm going to have a newly renovated Castnet that is going to work out much better than it has been. So get ready for the keys going next week. I've got a boat lined up out there out of Islamorada, so should be a pretty exciting trip. Next step is to get a bunch of bait. I'm going to just bring a cooler full so we can chum and, you know, just do a bunch of different stuff out there when we're fishing. Stay tuned. Have a good one. See ya.